since I don't have time to really sit down and make a video like I like to, I have to do it on the run. So living and working in D.C., well, living in Maryland and working in D.C. and working for a racial justice nonprofit, I tend to be on both angles of the whole government game. You know what I mean? Like, so you tend, like, when Obama calls a meeting that requests some input from the whole racial justice team everywhere in the vicinity. Can you go this way? In the vicinity, a lot of people, you're the first to really know. So I was asked to really look at the idea of how sequestration, what that's going to mean to African people in the country. And for all those Obama supporters that basically is like, you got to vote, or if you don't vote, you know, what you want to happen ain't gonna happen. And, you know, all this bullshit that y'all was putting on me since I made that video. So anyway, so sequestration is a budget cut. You see how they make these nondescript words that people don't really know how to relate to? When you say sequester, what you automatically think of is, you know, being asked to serve on a jury or something like that. So sequestration is something that, just like the fiscal cliff, requires some budget cuts to happen, and to certain particular programs. Oh, y'all gotta focus when I drive. So I was asked to research this and what this would mean for African people, right? So I didn't know what it was until I actually looked it up, and I saw that there's going to be massive cuts to a lot of public and private programs that are federally funded. One of the largest cuts is in the area of defense, which I'm kind of happy about, and I am only happy because it's in the area of defense, and I believe that part is going to be really detrimental to how, what's my word? How can I explain it? How the U.S. moves in terms of how we deal with foreign policy and shit like that. So that's a good thing. But in the flip side of it, a lot of Africans, the U.S. military and all of the factions are the largest employers of poor African people in the world. And now, you know, you got to the good with the bad. A lot of us have been thinking that if we join the military, we're going to get, like, off scot-free. And I'm not saying that you're going to get fired or anything like that, but it's just like a realization that, you know, your government is about to leave you out to dry. Because here we are in a world where we are in other people's countries telling them how to be democratic and shit, and then all of a sudden you get these major defense cuts. You're going to be out there, you're going to be assed out. You're going to be assed out. In addition to that being the largest sector of how the largest amount of cuts, programs like Head Start, major cuts to education, the ones on top of the ones that have already been cut. And of course, a lot of the government jobs that everybody depends on is like, oh, I got me a government job. It's going to be at jeopardy. It's going to be less jobs created. And overall, this whole sequestration situation is not going to really alleviate any of the employment. It's not going to at all improve the employment situation at all. If anything, it's going to contribute to it, and it's going to make it poor. It's going to make it worse for people who are poor. Because all the stuff that they use to kind of buffer between being on the fucking street and surviving day to day is going to be cut. In addition to a lot of the programs for the homeless, that, you know, homeless students, homeless people, former U.S. military or veterans or what have you, their programs are being cut. I mean, look this shit up. this shit up. This is going to happen. It's going to happen like on March 1st. All this shit. And it's all an attempt to balance the so-called deficit or balance the budget and get rid of the deficit. And it's going to cause more of a deficit because the so-called nation's poorest people are going to be largely affected by this sequestration. Now, like I said, I work in D.C. and I work in a nonprofit field. So every time that the president sneezes, all the black people feel it, and all the black people in nonprofit work feel it because they depend on him to kind of lead the way and kind of be a guiding light. A lot of them have critical minds and they're smart people, but in and of itself, they still get what's the word? They still get the Obama deception. They still get fooled by the Obama deception. And a lot of what we thought was going to happen, not we, y'all, a lot of what y'all thought was going to happen, Obama's going to be in there for another 4 years, and y'all was like, oh, well, he's the president, he's not supposed to be looking at how things affect black people. When they were killing Africans, when Africans were being killed every day in places around the city by the police and by each other, and when you have a sort of self-destructive genocidal warfare that's happening in our communities all over the place, ain't nobody talking about gun control. Even though I don't believe in gun control, I think that every African in the world should have a gun because we just in that position where we just need to have a fucking gun. But the situation wasn't on the table until white kids, predominantly white children, are being killed. And let me fucking tell you, son. Like, I feel sorry. I don't think that any child should die in the way that those children die. I think that murder of children is the lowest form of human. It's the lowest form of anything. To murder a child is disgusting. But we've been experiencing the murder of our children for so fucking long, and like I keep telling y'all, the death of black people isn't on people's fucking lips. I don't give a fuck about that until it happens to white kids, and then you start seeing all these fucking policies come up. And the Negro don't even fucking recognize that shit until somebody points that shit out. Once you start talking about Newtown, then you can bring in all the black shit that happened, right? I mean, it's absolutely fucking crazy. So anyway, sequestration is about to happen to y'all, and it's about to happen to me. It's about to happen to you. And a lot of things that we thought was going to happen, or y'all thought was going to happen with the re-election of Obama, it's not going to happen, and it's going to be very disappointing, and there's no more blaming a Bush-era regime when a motherfucker been in office for about 4 or 5 years. And I think it's going to be time for y'all to stop making excuses and realize that the power, realize what y'all were saying to me, the power ain't in the president because the Congress and shit got power, and realize that the power is in yourself, and it's up to you to start making moves in your community to make sure that the communities in which you live, the African communities in which you live, are going to be safeguarded. And if you ain't doing that, you ain't doing shit.